Thank you for joining us for the May 1st Parks Commission meeting. We will begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So our first item, it will be the swearing in of our new commissioner, Brooks Esser, who is representing District 4.
And a disclaimer before we begin, I believe I need to participate in this meeting remotely as called for by the provisions of AB 2449 as the result of a flu I've come down with, which prevents me from attending in person. No individuals 18 years of age or older are present in the room, and I'll keep my mic and camera on throughout the meeting.
Thank you.
Hi, Brooks. My name is Craig Baumgartner. I'm a deputy county attorney. I'm going to swear you in today. You could please raise your hand and repeat after me. First, do you prefer to swear or affirm?
Swear is fine.
Okay. I, Brooks Esser, do solemnly swear.
I, Brooks Esser, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend.
I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
I will bear true faith and allegiance.
To the Constitution of the United States.
To the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
That I will take this obligation freely.
I will take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge.
And I will well and faithfully discharge.
The duties upon which I am about to enter.
The duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Could we have roll call?
Absolutely. Commissioner Block.
Present.
Commissioner Mene.
Yes.
Commissioner Esser.
Yes.
And Chair Rodriguez.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and welcome seniors. Supervisor?
Yeah.
You're going
Hi, Supervisor. So we just completed the swearing in. I don't know if you want to maybe just take a moment to say a few words welcoming Brooks to the commission.
Sure. Can I do that from here?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you'll be off camera a little bit. I don't know if you want to move in. Okay, yeah.
I can see you, Lisa. Thanks so much for being there today. I wish I could be there.
Sorry, I missed your swearing in,
No problem.
but it's so good to be here. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Everyone's like staring at me.
This is so good. I'm so excited that Brooks will be representing our district. You know, parks are so important to us. Parks and open space got us through COVID. It will continue to get us through mental, when people have mental health challenges, and to just be able to exercise. So Brooks, I appreciate you stepping up and wanting to be a part of this board, and we look forward to hearing from you and look forward to hearing all of the great things you're going to continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're excited.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Back to work.
Thanks, Supervisor. Good seeing you.
That's right.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on with public comment.
So this is for item 4 on the agenda, which is public comment. This is for items that are not on the agenda, so general public comment. For spoken public comment, this will be accepted during the meeting in person or remotely through Zoom. Public comment in person will be taken first, followed by speakers on Zoom. You'll be called on by name to speak when it is your turn. If you wish to speak to the commission, please fill out a speaker slip located near the conference room door. If you wish to have anything distributed to the commission and included in the official record, please hand it to myself, and I will distribute that information to commission members and staff. For speakers on Zoom, please use the raise hand function to indicate that you would like to speak for an item. When the chair calls on public comment, click raise hand. Speakers will be notified shortly before they begin to speak, or before they're called on to speak. We provided the ability to unmute your microphone and begin speaking. And public comment is limited to 2 minutes. And so with that, we're opening for item 4, general public comment, for items not on the agenda. And I see no hands raised in Zoom and no speakers slips.
Okay, with no comments to here, we'll move on to item 5, action to set the agenda. Do I have any amendments that we need to make to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to set the May 1st, 2025, May Day, May 1st, 2025, San Mateo Parks Commission meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Because this is a vote, because it's a teleconference meeting, you do.
Commissioner Block?
Aye.
Commissioner Nene?
Yes.
Commissioner Esser?
Yes.
Chair Rodriguez-Smith?
Yes.
Yeah, all in favor.
Moving on to item 6.1, the Parks Foundation Director's Report. Michelle.
Good afternoon, everybody. Michelle Beasley, Executive Director of the San Mateo County Parks Foundation. Sorry, I cannot be there in person with all of you today, but hopefully next month. Just a couple updates. At the end of March, we had our park poster artists reception. It was very well attended. We had our 3 most recent artists showcase their original artwork for San Pedro Valley, Wonderlick, and Sawyer Camp Trail. And we have all 6 of our posters up for sale on our online Shopify store. We will be kicking off the 3rd round in January of 2026. So a little bit of a delay, only because we wanted to send our artists out in the springtime as opposed to the fall. So you can see all of that artwork up on our website. I want to mention a couple upcoming events in the parks, or specifically in Coyote Point. One is coming up in 3 weeks. It's the Bay Area Community Health Advisory Council's annual Soul Stroll, which takes place at Coyote Point. The San Mateo County Parks Foundation is a sponsor. We will be tabling alongside San Mateo County Parks interpretive team on that Saturday, May 17th, if I haven't said that already. And then couple months out, but worth noting at this point, will be the Coyote Point Summerfest, which will take place on Saturday, July 26th. This has been an annual summer event, I think, since the summer of 2018. It started off as the Kite Festival. So we'll have giant kites, food trucks. I think there'll be the train again, as well as some other activities. So a fun day for the whole family. And we're preparing to release a gift to San Mateo County Parks specifically for hazard tree removal at Coyote Point and Crumb Clean, or basically Memorial Park summer naturalist interns. So those gifts will be going out this month. That is my update. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Michelle. Commissioners, are any questions or comments for Michelle?
Michelle, thank you for being part of the program today. I really wish it's always great when you bring blossom and hope into our room with your presentations. I hope, and it's always been in the past, that the health fair has been a great drawn from up and down the peninsula to the coast to wherever the Bay Area brings people. So I'm hoping that you pump it up and people know about this so we can encourage people to attend.
Yeah, thank you. I'd also just like to add a little piece and say thank you to Commissioner Irma Rodriguez-Mitten for attending the artist reception. It is always really nice when commissioners come to these events. We also had Supervisor Ray Mueller attend the event. And he had some really wonderful comments to say about the fact that each of the park posters included a bench. The artists did not plan that. It was completely their own choice. And I think it really speaks to, and this is what Supervisor Mueller said, how welcoming our county parks are. They invite people to come, sit, relax, and enjoy the scene. So I hope to see all the commissioners at either Soul Stroll or Summerfest.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, I really appreciated the chance to meet the artists and also meet the many of the volunteers that keep that interpretive center going. They were very excited to show it off, and it was nice to interact with them. Any other comments?
Just a comment to say thank you. Wonderful work you're doing. Keep it up.
Thanks.
Do we have any public comments on this item?
I'm now calling for a public comment on item 6.1, the Parks Foundation Director's Report. I'm seeing no hands in Zoom for public comment.
Great, thank you again, Michelle. We'll move on to item 6.2, the Parks Department budget presentation. Was that you?
That would be me. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Almost ready. No, you're good. I threw Hannah a curveball and changed some things in the presentation last minute, so. Awesome, Hannah, I appreciate that. So we are at the beginning of budget season. We've submitted all of our documentation to the county executive's office, and I will be presenting to the Board of Supervisors at the end of June with a presentation. The specific date is not yet known, but I'm happy to share that with the commission when we do find that. But the presentation, just so you know, you received today will be a variation of the presentation that will be received, that the board will receive. The one the board will receive will likely be a little bit shorter, only because I tend to talk really long, and so I know you all will be much more generous with me than I. With that, I'm happy to jump right in. And next slide, sorry. So there we go. All right, so the department's mission, simply stated, is to protect the county's natural, cultural, and recreational resources for residents and visitors to enjoy today, tomorrow, and for generations to come. It is our job to make sure that after a child has learned about redwood trees, they have an opportunity to go to Pescadero Creek County Park and actually experience, some of the most magnificent species on this planet. I think it was a car accident?
Yeah.
But it's not me. Or I apologize for the distraction. Or that structures like the Sanchez Adobe and Woodside Store are able to stand the test of time, and so children can have hands-on curriculum. Or that generations of families can make memories at Memorial Park as they have for so long. One thing I do love about this system is no matter where you live, no matter what your circumstances, our parks are your parks. And you're always welcome in a San Mateo County Park. And I think that's something special about our department and our system when you look at the county structure. Next slide, please. So our budget is structured so that salaries and benefits, core operational expenses are covered using our ongoing general fund contributions and department revenues. And then everything above this, including maintenance, repair, and improvement of visitor serving facilities, are covered using one-time appropriations, largely measured K or non-departmental. It is because of the financial support that we have received from the Board of Supervisors and the county executive that we've been able to continue to provide exceptional services, modernize facilities, address deferred maintenance, and provide quickly repair facilities and utilities when they break or fail. All this means we're ultimately able to deliver a high quality experience for our visitors. And this is evident when looking at the department's mid-year survey results on overall satisfaction, which was a 96% rate, approval rating. While great progress has been made, obviously we always have more to be done. And so we look forward to continuing that effort in 25-27. Total sources and requirements are greatly reduced, as has been the case for several years during the preparation of our recommended budget. And this is due to the spending down on projects, on our large capital projects, as well as our normal budgeting practice where we remove those one-time appropriations. The removal of one-time appropriations mainly related to capital projects, which totals about $22 million. And that's 12 million at flood, 8 million for Tunitas, and then some of our other smaller projects, including San Bruno Mountain and Coyote Point, is the main reason for these changes that you see. But ultimately, I think the important thing is the Parks Department is not experiencing a budget reduction in the sense that I think people historically associate with parks, right? So we're not seeing our staffing levels reduced. We're not seeing our operational expenses reduced. We are still getting the same allotment of Measure K. What's happening is these large cap projects that we've been carrying funding on for so long, we're finally completing and drawing down on that. So in 25-27, one of the department's top priorities is to complete and open the Don Horsley County Park at Tunitas Creek Beach. What will make this beach park unique when compared to other beaches on the San Mateo County coast is how we have used the steep topography of the property to actually create 3 levels of park that each provide a different experience. At the upper bluff, we have a 60-car parking lot, no garage, 60-car parking lot. We have 3 overlooks and 2 trailheads. And this area is perfect for taking in the scenery, for painting, for taking photographs, for stopping on a long bike ride. If you want to just experience what the coast is, you get to do that from that upper bluff without having to go down to any other level. For the mid bluff, we have two restrooms, picnic tables, and amphitheater in our ranger station. And this is going to be a great location for programming, for picnicking, as well as capturing different views. And because you're now away from the highway, you also get to have a better experience of really the serenity of what the California coast is. And then down on the beach, you have 1 mile of sandy beach, which is perfect for that Northern California beach experience. And something, you know, if you've been to a lot of the beaches on the San Mateo County coast, you have some that are a little bit more rocky. This is, I have to tell you, probably one of the best beaches on the San Mateo County coast from a sand perspective. And so it's also a popular place for people to fish. If you're an experienced surfer, it is a place where some people will go. And so we are excited to be able to host just a wide variety of uses. At this point, the initial project is about 90% complete, with the remaining work entailing construction of the overlooks at the parking lot area, as well as paving of the main service road down to the mid bluff where the amenities are located. We are currently experiencing some earth movement that we're assessing and trying to work through with the Department of Public Works. And so when we have a full understanding of what is the extent of that, as well as what type of remediation is needed, I'm certainly happy to bring that to the commission. But we're still doing the assessment on that. And until we know what the extent of it is, we just don't know when that park is going to be. But please rest assured, I mean, we're having conversations actively on this. And then another priority for the department is constructing phase 2 of the Realized Flood Park project. So on June 7th, we will be hosting a ribbon cutting as well as a groundbreaking. And so this is quite literally the definition of when one chapter ends, another begins. So phase 2 entails the construction of our new inclusive playground that includes 2 towers connected by a bridge, and each tower has its own slide, a 55-foot long zip line, a swing bank, 2 spinners, more slides, and a top lot for younger kids. This playground has been intentionally designed to provide play opportunities for people of all ages and abilities. The zip line and swings include a bucket seat with a harness that makes them usable by everyone. And one of the towers features this really cool bridge that provides entry to the mid-level. So it's easier to access to the slide, but it also provides easier access for individuals with mobility challenges. So you can actually see it on the bottom left. You can kind of see it on the left-hand side of that tower where Hannah's cursor just was. That's actually a bridge that people will be able to access. And on the back side is an ADA compliant ramp. And along that ramp, there are 2 slides. And there's also a poured in place surfacing so that it also doubles as its own play feature. But these are all, and then on the inside of that tower is a spiral, essentially a spiral ramp that is made out of rope that can be walked up, scoot up, climbed up. You can traverse it in many different ways. And so it lends itself to be more accessible to people with a wider range of accessibility needs and preferences. And so that will allow for that tower to be far more accessible and inclusive. On the other side of the bridge is going to be a net climbing tower. And so this is a more technical, challenging feature that's going to cater to those who are looking for a harder challenge, more likely an older age group. But for us, what we wanted to do is make sure that we provided really a play opportunity for just a broad range of user groups. And so that's why it was so important that we included that element of it. The community overall really asked that we develop a destination playground that was inclusive and that complemented the character of the new Flood Park. And we do believe that with this, we have been able to accomplish that. Now, Flood Park is not just an important local park, it's much more than that. Flood Park is a community park for North Fair Oaks. And if you're familiar with North Fair Oaks, there's really only one park inside North Fair Oaks proper, and that's Friendship Park. And so Flood Park ends up serving as the community park for a lot of those residents. And so we were very conscientious of that in the design process. We worked very closely with community-based organizations in North Fair Oaks. And we are very confident that when this playground opens, it will continue to serve the local community. It will also continue to serve as a regional destination, as Flood Park has done for so long. Pre-construction, Flood Park was serving about 125,000 people a year. And we're thinking that that will go up 200,000, maybe a little bit more when all amenities between phase 1 and phase 2 are open. Next slide, please. In addition to our 2 main capital projects, we have 4 planned initiatives to address deferred maintenance and improve the condition of existing visitor serving facilities to create a remarkable experience for our visitors. At Coyote Point, the county park system's 2nd most visited unit, we will be replacing the Magic Mountain Playground with a new inclusive playground. And just like Coyote Point, the new playground will need to serve visitors of all ages, abilities, and interests. We are about to launch the community engagement process and hope to have a new playground by mid-2026. This project will be funded through a combination of Measure K, Quimby Act funds, and a federal earmark secured by Representative Kevin Mullen. And Magic Mountain is the park's flagship playground, and it's about to exceed its useful life. So it's really important that we're able to get that playground replaced before it starts failing safety inspections, and we'd have to close it. We'll also be upgrading the San Bruno Mountain Day Use area with a new restroom building and a joint open-air interpretive pavilion, 9 new picnic sites, and new pathways and landscaping. The existing restroom building has exceeded its useful life, and the current picnic sites are uneven and deteriorating. Most of the new picnic sites will support larger groups celebrating life events like birthdays or holidays, but we'll also have some smaller sites for those who have just finished a beautiful hike, enjoying the bay, the views of the city, and looking for a nice quiet place to have a picnic. The open air interpretive pavilion will host educational information that allows visitors to better understand how San Bruno Mountain serves as a biological hotspot while located within a heavily developed part of the county. Lastly, the department is also addressing some of its most pressing deferred maintenance by dedicating Measure K funds towards the renovation of popular visitor serving amenities like picnic and reservation areas, campsites, restrooms, playgrounds, and trails. Next slide, please. Since fiscal year 2018-2019, the department has made wildfire mitigation a top priority. In fact, in the last 8 years, the department has treated nearly 1,700 acres of fire fuel. In fiscal year 25-26, the department will update its wildfire fuel management program, which we will be bringing here to the commission. And the program itself serves as a framework for identifying and prioritizing treatment areas throughout the system. The program is particularly important for allocating Measure K funds as well as pursuing grant funding. As for projects, the department, in partnership with San Mateo Resource Conservation District, will implement the Pescadero Creek Forest Health and Fuel Reduction Project, which is a 541-acre forest health and fuel reduction project that will reduce the amount of fire fuels present in the park while also making the redwood forest more resilient to the impacts of climate change, as well as improving its ability to sequester carbon. The department will also maintain and expand existing fuel breaks and shaded fuel breaks at Universal Park, San Bruno Mountain, Quarry Park, Hunter Park, Wonderland Park, Edgewood Park and Natural Preserve, and Memorial Park. In fiscal year 25-27, we'll have $1 million of work that will be funded through Measure K. $285,000 will be funded by a FEMA local hazard mitigation grant, and $4.4 million will be funded through a CAL 5 grant. Next slide, please. So the last 10 to 15 years have really been some of the most transformative years in the history of the San Mateo County Park System. More than any other time, we've added acreage of parks and expanded allowed and supported uses. This trend has certainly continued as we recently opened our first soccer field, basketball court, and pickleball courts. We're also preparing to open our first recreational beach park, our first inclusive playgrounds, and a community plaza. I am a firm believer that we must evolve to create new opportunities within our existing system to meet the recreational desires of the residents of the county. And I think our visitor data shows that we've been successful in this endeavor. In 2024, we served 2.6 million visitors. That's a 12% increase over 2021 pandemic numbers. I think it's safe to say the public is absolutely enjoying and benefiting the county's investment in our park system. And I really do think the Board of Supervisors and the county executive deserve a lot of that credit for continuing to trust the department and fund the department's initiatives and make sure we have the resources necessary to get projects done. This upward trend, though, isn't just limited to general visitor numbers. It also includes our reservation numbers. So since 2021, we've seen a nearly 10% increase in our reservations honored. And nowhere is this more evident than at Memorial Park, where we saw nearly 1,200 more reservations honored in 2023-24 when compared to 21-22. This is largely contributed to the condition of our camping facilities, including our restrooms and shower buildings, our individual campsites, and the new Huckleberry Flat Dog Friendly campground. Naturally, more visitors means more wear and tear on the facilities, more maintenance of high use areas, more visitor engagement, and more cleaning. With new amenity sets open, non-Horsley County Park opening in the next year, we anticipate we can see approximately a 15% increase in visitors in 2026 over 2024 numbers. We also know from previous periods of time that when people experience financial hardships, instead of going on vacations or lavish day trips, they turn to their local parks. At our parks, people are able to spend the day with one another and build those foundational memories without the price tag that comes with a vacation or a day trip. I think we've positioned ourselves well in the San Mateo County Park System well to provide whatever service is needed of us in the coming years. The department currently functions with little federal funding. In fact, at this time, we only have $1 million grant, which is the earmark from Representative Mullen, and we have a $400,000 grant from FEMA, local hazard mitigation grant. So, but since fiscal year 2018-2019, we've successfully secured over $7.3 million in state grants, largely for fuel reduction. And so I understand the state's current budget situation. However, it is my understanding that the state is being very deliberate in protecting its funding for fuel reduction work and fire mitigation work. And so we are confident with our ability to continue to secure those funds. We will also be pursuing Proposition 4 funding for projects. And because that is a dedicated a dedicated bond measure, we're confident that, you know, that can be reallocated elsewhere in the state budget. One of the cool things we're going to be doing next year is the implementation of our California Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act, or CUPCA, process, which is an alternative competitive bidding procedure that allows the department to more efficiently implement critical projects, including restroom renovations, plumbing projects, and utility improvements. Following the CUPCA requirements, the department has created a standard solicitation package, advertisement and contract template, which will streamline the process for soliciting, noticing, and awarding contracts for projects. Next year, we have 4 known projects that we're going to be using this for. We have 2 restrooms at Hutter Park. We have a restroom at Coyote Point that we want to renovate. And then we have a sewer line at San Pedro Valley that needs to be repaired. Right now it's sagging, and so it's creating some operational inefficiencies, and it runs the risk of that. Ultimately, all of these projects will improve visitor experience. So the restroom projects certainly speak for themselves in improving the condition of our facilities, which also improves the experience people have. County parks are by and large no different than any other park system. Restrooms are always, you know, park system's Achilles heel, and so we're working to address that. And the San Pedro Valley sewer line is connected to our visitor center, so it's really important that we're able to address that. And so this is going to certainly make our operations more efficient. It's going to make our ability to implement critical projects. It's going to make it more efficient. And at the end of the day, our ability to complete projects and move on to the next one means that we're able to serve more visitors and serve the visitors we have in a much better way. So we're very excited about that. I guess my closing message to the commission would be that we continue to get support from the board. We continue to get support from the county executive. We are having internal conversations about budget exercises. What would a reduction look like? We haven't started putting that together yet, but we will have to provide that in the coming months. And so we need to just start collecting more information on that. But right now, it is just an exercise. We are not seeing any request to actually reduce Measure K in next fiscal year or our general fund contributions or our net county cost. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, questions?
Question and point, and thank you, because I didn't foresee, I foresee that this was gonna be an essential part of the program and the agenda, and I think you in depth really like hit on a lot of trigger points. That's really key for this commission, and money's coming in, and hopefully people invest in this. Newly elected supervisor Lisa Gauthier really hit the head that it is very grateful, and it's refreshing to know that we have parks and open space as a breath of fresh air, because not only is it for mental health, I know we all, no matter what capacity we're in, whether we're working long hours, whether we're doing many things and activities here in the commission, outside of our lives, it is a real importance to attack the mental health of knowing that these parks are available to us, and we can go in anytime we want, usually early day, midday, afternoon, even up until the sun is out, just to get that, peace of mind and fresh air. And I think we need to encourage not just this commission, but others to take advantage of those parks. And it's great to know that people are putting forth, as you did, Director Calderon, that you broke down, hey, this is gonna be very important these next 2 years because we're seeing something that we haven't seen, none other like anything before. Like these major parks up and down the county coast are gonna be, they have to take advantage of. Not just because of the money that's spent, because it's amenities that are available to people of all demographics. So I think that is not yet to be seen yet, but I think once they unveil and open the sort of the Broadway show curtains and say, ta-da, you know, this is ready, I think you're gonna start getting a lot of heavy emphasis of visitation. So I think that what I just brought forth as a point and question is gonna be something that we are gonna definitely have to look forward to in the days and months and these next couple of years to come.
Thank you.
Commissioner Walker?
Yeah, I'd like to say a couple things. First comments and questions, if it's okay. Thanks for the great presentation. And you know, we've learned of these projects, you know, before, but I think it's an astounding amount of work, you know, that you are doing, that we are doing. It's so exciting to see that some of these major capital projects are kind of coming close to the end, which has got to feel good, I'm sure, for all those involved. You know, you mentioned, you know, wanting, you know, continued support from the board, you know, and I really feel like when you look at the numbers, you know, you've got, what is it, 2.6 million visitors coming through in 2024, and you've got a 96% approval rate. There's your answer, right? Because you're doing a phenomenal job. And it needs to be recognized, and it is, you know, I'm sure. But I think that, you know, a couple of the questions that I have for you is that with so many visitors coming in, I always still wonder about, you know, groups that we're missing. You know, who's out there that would benefit from our parks that just don't know about them or haven't found a way to get there yet, stuff like that. And so I don't even know how you begin to answer that question, you know, but I was curious if there's work that's happening to try to figure out, are there some groups of people who are just not participating only because they don't know about it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. You know, with regards to individuals we're reaching out to because they don't know. You know, I mean, I think we try to be as many places as we can to get the word out. I think right now the focus has been on engaging with community members by way of local community-based organizations and partnering with community-based organizations to create opportunities to bring them and their programming into the park so that the families they're supporting get introduced that way. So for example, Casas or Culos coming into Flood Park often, we work with Puente. We're working with an organization in San Mateo called Homework Central, who they work predominantly in the San Mateo Foster City Unified School District, and they'll be hosting their end of year party at Coyote Point this year for the first time. And we're opening that up to them at no cost. We're letting all the families in at no cost. And so we're trying to work very closely with organizations and introducing families to county parks that way. And, you know, when we do, we're gonna, you know, for example, we partnered with Homework Central last year on an event. And as part of that, what we did was we essentially handed out all these free passes. But, you know, you wanna come to Coyote Point, just show them this at the gate and they'll let you in. And so we have that. We also have what's called the Mariposa program, where eligible individuals receive a free annual pass. And so the eligibility is set by the economic assistance requirements in the state of California. So Medi-Cal, for example, is one of the, you know, if you qualify for Medi-Cal, you qualify for the Mariposa program. And we partner with the Human Services Agency here at the county so that as they're enrolling individuals or families into these programs, they're also sending hey, by the way, are you familiar with this program? If not, would you like to enroll? It's as simple as tell us yes. They then provide that information to us and we mail them a free annual pass. It's a placard they put in their rearview mirror, and that's that. So and then the last thing that we're also doing, and the Parks Foundation deserves the credit for this, is we have day passes, right, annual passes in backpacks that can be checked out at libraries with other information in it. And this is a hugely popular program. In fact, Michelle and I were talking earlier this week, and she sent me a great email, testimony about this, and there's a wait list of people wanting to rent that out. So we're trying kind of everything we can to make ourselves more and more known. So I hope that answers the question.
It sure does, yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Commissioner Esther?
Yes, thank you. Excellent presentation there, Director Calderon. A couple of quick questions. On the Coyote Point federal earmark, the $1 million, how solid do you believe that is? It was my understanding that in the current continuing resolution, all the earmarks were pulled out. Now, hopefully, when we get a federal budget, those will come back in. But do you have any sense of how likely that is?
Yeah, Commissioner Esther, thank you so much. And it's nice to meet you virtually. And welcome to the commission. So the last request for information we sent out to HUD was in April. And we were told that the funding was included in the continuing was included.
Okay.
So I was as surprised as you are. So we are asking HUD maybe 3-4 times a month right now. Is it there? Is it there? Is it there? And they keep insisting that it is. So with that said, Commissioner, we are creating a what I would call an expedited engagement and design process for this project, so we can get that taken care of as quickly as possible. And I'm very confident in our ability to collect the pertinent information and put together a playground design that people are gonna absolutely love. And although the engagement and design process will be expedited, certainly the experience will not be impacted by that.
No, I appreciate that. Full disclosure, I also sit on the Samtrans board. So we're running into funding issues at the federal level, obviously for capital projects, things like environmentally friendly buses and things like that. But we're also, and I believe I heard you mention something similar to this, taking a look at our numbers going out the next few years, perhaps forecasting a recession, the decrease in sales tax that comes from that, and the impact that can have on Measure K money. Are you actually running models along those lines, and is that something we could see at a future meeting?
To confirm, are you asking for running modeling on like what we forecast for what we will receive in Measure K funding?
Yes, yeah.
So our conversations have been strictly limited to 25, 27. And the way our Measure K works in the Parks Department is many years ago, the board set the Parks Department allocation at $5 million a year for parks. And then in fiscal year 18-19, that went up to $6 million, with $1 million having to go to fire mitigation. And then in this most recent year, it was broken out very cleanly as $2.5 million for operations, $2.5 million for capital projects. And so that's the framework in which we're working for 26, 27. But I guess with that background, the easiest answer would be we've kind of been, I don't want to say put on notice, but we've been made aware that if there's a recession, if the federal government pulls significant funding for things like health services, or housing, then the county's gonna have to, or if we have issues with VLF, where the county's gonna have to start pulling Measure K. And there's no formula or forecast for how that would work because we're still unsure of what the financial impact would be of any of those decisions. So it
How
could.
was it?
Oh,
Go ahead, please.
I don't know, let's just
No.
say from $1 million to all of our Measure K.
Yeah, I wasn't going to pile on by mentioning VLF, so but it sounds like sounds like we're facing the same issues, and hopefully in my role I can kind of cross-pollinate what's going on between the two organizations. So that'll be good.
That would be great. Yeah, and I'm sure the conversations we have on a daily basis are not unlike the ones you're used to having. So certainly always happy to have those conversations with you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So following on that almost same topic, one of my questions was about where we have elasticity in terms of just looking at, especially for these upcoming critical capital projects, expectations of cost overruns or supply chain shocks, both in terms of budget and then actual time to finish the project.
Yeah.
Do we have that sort of built in somewhere into the budget?
All great questions. So I'll kind of address that maybe project by project. So to Neatus, we don't forecast anything in that regard at this time, but without knowing specifically what the fix is going to be, it's hard to say, right? I mean, we don't know how much steel may be involved, and so it's hard to say what those impacts can be. Once we know what the fix is, I think we'll have a better understanding. For Flood Park, we have those designs in place, and in fact, the main structure, which is that double tower with the bridge and the slides, is actually coming from Germany. However, we had some very serious conversations with the manufacturer, and we made it really clear we're not paying for tariffs. So they were very generous in saying, you've been working with us long before any mention of tariffs. As a result, we will not be passing the tariffs on to you. And so we don't forecast any tariff impact with the Flood Park playground. The Coyote Point playground, as a stipulation of the grant agreement for the federal funding, there's a provision that's called Buy America. And so we have to be purchasing American-made equipment with that. Now, where we could run into a problem is everyone else who's doing a playground is also going to be looking at American-made. And so we could see a downstream effect from that. So that's another reason why it's so important that we get our designs rolling and we can get our purchase orders in. We have a project contingency for the Flood Park playground. And so even if there are some cost overruns there, we have contingencies baked in. And we, when we are pursuing the Coyote Point project, we will look at all the money we have, and we will essentially break out a piece of that for an emergency fund. And then whatever based on what we think is appropriate at that time, whatever the delta is what we will advertise as the design build contract amount that people have to come in at. And so the designer will always be working towards that number, recognizing that if it does go over, we have a safety net. And if it doesn't go over, then we have this chunk of money that we can use for something else. Does that answer the question?
Yes, absolutely. My second area of concern or interest too is loving seeing the increase in visitor numbers, and I believe we're going to continue seeing that increase, and knowing we have an amazing staff. So it's good that it doesn't appear that we're looking at needing to reduce the size, but what is the possibility of being able to increase the size? Because I know how hard the interpretive staff works for this a very small staff, and as we continue to, expand those offerings that are even more critical for the schools, and offering volunteer experiences, I'm always concerned about staff burnout, and how can we help get you more resources in that area?
We are always worried about that as well. I would say the probability of getting more staff is near zero. But I would say that it's not a bad thing. We were very strategic in that last budget cycle. we asked for all the positions that we thought we were gonna need, and so we actually were able to increase by 7 rangers last budget cycle. And that accounted for a full, so we essentially staffed up for a fully operational Tunitas for, an operational flood. And so, so we actually did our staffing before all of this happened. And I am very happy that we did that. But, so I think, the probability of getting more staff is zero, near zero. But I don't think that that's bad of an impact as it sounds, because we're strategic in thinking.
Great, that's good to hear.
Okay.
Any last questions before I open for public comment? Staff? We take public comment on item 7.1, or I'm sorry, 6.2, the Parks Department budget presentation.
Now calling for public comment for item 6.2. And seeing no hands raised in Zoom.
Let us move on to item 7.1, which is essentially a continuation of our discussion, recommendations on the Parks Department budget. This is actually a request for the commission to provide ideas or thoughts about what we as a commission present to the Board of Supervisors in terms of and how we can advise the Board of Supervisors on this upcoming budget cycle. So it could take the form of a letter, it could be a letter and a presentation of the board, but how would you?
I think it's better, thank you to the chair, I think it's best they see who we are. I think when they see who we are, regardless of whether it's occupation, professional sports, whatever, job, community, it's great when you make a connection and they see who we are and that we are about action. We want to increase the awareness. We want people to know that parks exist. We want them to know that, hey, thank you for your support. Thank you for continuing to believe in the director. Thank you for having us as commissioners. We appreciate you for having appointed us. And we want to do some kind of backbone of a presentation to show, hey, we want your attention in these regards, and whatever you choose to develop a syllabus, a synopsis. So let us know, senior leadership of parks, when can we actually present to the board? June, maybe August, July, because we're already in May. So I think it'd be a good time to talk about it right now, to maybe and I know the Board of Supervisors are extremely busy on a lot of issues. So I'd like to know when would be a good time that they could meet with us, or we could, our chair of this commission could co-present or present, and us appear in chambers and have our little 15 minutes of fame.
Through the chair, I believe item 8.1 might be more of a discussion on a general presentation for the commission. Maybe could come at a later date. This, if it's regarding the budget, is a little bit more time sensitive in that our budget presentations are between the 23rd and 25th, 22nd and 24th of June. So it would be one of those dates that the Parks Department would be providing this presentation to the board. And so any recommendation or comment that the commission would want to provide before that presentation or at that presentation would need to be done.
And I would, why don't we say this for 8.1, because I do think as it shows on the agenda, they're separate, but I would also recommend that in implementation, any type of budget letter be separate from the presentation, and I'm happy to explain a little bit more later, but ultimately the board doesn't meet in July. And I just think given where we are, breaking it out is gonna be more effective.
Right.
And it gives you 2 opportunities to engage with the board.
Thank you for that clarification. So I think, so for item 7.1, what we're really wanting to focus on is what particular points would we like to include specifically for the budget. And you made the point of saying, reiterating that, you know, if it's our consensus that we feel the department is really effectively performing at a very high level with what we have, and we thank them for their support in continuing it. That's a simple enough message to get across. Are there any concerns or any other comments that we would like to make sure we address to the board?
Pretty valid point.
I mean, from your standpoint, is there anything that would be helpful, have the board hear from us in terms of areas where you want a little more support?
Through the chair, I think the board and the county executive have been extremely supportive of the department, and that's not just this iteration of the board, that's also previous iterations of the board. I genuinely do not have any ask of them, right? I mean, like, I think the most important thing is that they understand their commitment to the county park system and their support of the county park system is recognized and appreciated. You know, and I think we're gonna have lots of opportunity to have those conversations with some of the events coming up. And with the rate at which projects are occurring, right? We'll have, in June, we'll have the groundbreaking in the ribbon cutting of Blood. I believe we'll have another groundbreaking at San Bruno Mountain with ribbon cutting in, you know, maybe September. And then you have Coyote Point. And so I think the most important thing for them to understand is not we want more, it's or please, you know, support the department. It's more recognition that they've been really supportive.
Yeah, that's helpful to hear, because, you know, based on presentation, it didn't sound like there's an ask right at this current time. It's really more about, you know, doing a great job. Let's keep moving forward, and just recognizing that their support, their continued support, is critical. The mission is good.
Any other comments from the commission on what we should deliver to the board of supervisors? I believe a simple letter would suffice, then that we can approve at our June meeting and send with the director to take this presentation. Any public comment?
Now calling on public comment for item 7.1, recommendation on the Parks Department budget. Seeing no hands raised.
The next item on our agenda is approval of the 2025 commission work plan. And for the benefit of Commissioner Esser, the work plan is something we've been discussing in the past 2 or 3 meetings in order to help organize all the items and comments that have been brought to us, from the department or through commissioners or through the general public over the past year. We try to not necessarily prioritize, but organize them in a way that they align with the department's priorities and in a framework that we feel we can move these topics along. So without saying that any particular item of the public's interest is higher or lower priority, we just wanted to try to focus our work. We have a very limited number of meetings that we undertake every year. So we wanted to have some kind of process for aligning what is on the agenda and how we're going to approach this work. And that's what's been presented in the attachment to the agenda. We organize them in certain priorities based on discussions and feedback, and have each taken a lead position in an area of interest. So there are additional items that our new commissioners can consider if there's a particular area of interest that you'd like to champion, for lack of a better word, we can, address that at a future meeting. This is really to help us start the discussion or our work for the rest of the year. So I will ask for. So our goal today is to approve this work plan as it stands, knowing that it can be and will be updated as we move throughout the year. Are there any discussions before we?
You've tabled that, Chair Rodriguez, and I think that that's what's on hand, and that's what we're dealing with, in the present time. And we want to continue meeting by meeting, month by month, to improve these work plans and give updates, not just to the general public and to the board itself, but to senior leadership. So let's make a motion to approve 7.2 of the approval of the 2025 commission work.
We have a motion to approve the work plan. Do we have a second?
Have a second.
Any discussion?
And so we have a motion on the table, but we'll take public comment.
Discussion.
Or before we vote, but.
Before we vote, right. So is there any discussion among the questions for the commission?
Just a comment to say thanks for organizing it, and it's very good, and recognizing it's a living document, modifying as we see fit forward. It's a great frame.
I actually attended the last couple of meetings, and I noted that some of the highlights were some of the areas that other commissioners were going to work on was the interaction with other agencies and that sort of thing. And I might be interested in helping out on that one, as well as just the transit issue and access, and making sure that people have a way to get to the park. So I may be available or willing to help out on either one of those things as necessary, just to kind of get my feet wet in this. That would be great.
Excellent. I was hoping you would say that.
Okay, that sounds good.
Go ahead and open it for public comment.
I'm now opening for public comment on item 7.2. The commission work plan. And seeing no hands raised to Zoom for public.
Can we go ahead and call for a vote then?
Yep. So Commissioner Block?
Yes.
Commissioner Monet?
Yes.
Commissioner Esser?
Yes.
And Chair Rodriguez mentioned.
Yes.
Motion passes. All in favor?
Great. Thank you all very much. Now that that's approved, I will be holding everyone accountable for their action. So, but at least I don't know, at least each job be like a very focused action item.
I think you spearheaded this, so I gotta thank you and Hannah for collectively, we chime in and what we can, and our expectations are now on the rise, seeing that you have delivered some magical words here to better improve our work plans. I'm thankful for you to be spearheading this, quarterbacking this, and really putting thought that it's not easy. So really appreciate, grateful that being on this commission and having you part of it, and chairing and putting these great ideas together, which you want your current year to be a success.
Thank you. Well, I look forward to what we can deliver this year on that. Item 7.3 is the presentation from the Santa Cruz Mountain Stewardship Network.
Yeah, and through the chair, so the presenter was messaging me, they've just been held up, in, getting ready for a field tour that they're hosting tomorrow, but they'll still be here. We can come back to 7.3. I don't know if
Do we need a motion to amend the agenda?
Circle back.
Yeah, we could, I think that's fine, if you wanna make you could do a motion right now, that would be in order to just reorder things.
Okay,
With that in mind.
Would anybody like to make a motion to amend the agenda to allow us to continue with items 8 and insert item 7.3 when the presenter is ready?
So moved.
I think, go ahead, Commissioner Brooks.
No, I merely said so moved, restating the intent of the chair.
Second,
Second.
go ahead and do a roll call vote on this.
Commissioner Black,
Yes.
Commissioner Minnick,
Aye.
Commissioner Esser,
Yes.
and Chair Rodriguez,
Yes, thank you.
passes.
Okay, so we will move on to items of outstanding business, which is where we kind of parking lot, our continued discussion items, or reminders. And we have been talking about going in front of the Board of Supervisors with a general presentation that kind of covers what the commission's intent is, so the work plan, kind of who we are. I mean, I think they each know us individually, but they don't know us all together. And what our work plan is this year, and that's just basic, topics. So it doesn't need to be in the June timeframe associated with the budget. We could. And I'm looking to the Director Calderon to kind of give me an idea of on the Board of Supervisors calendar, which I understand can be like anything, any week.
Yeah.
Should we aim for a particular time of year or,
My recommendation would be to target August. For a couple of reasons. That'll give you a little bit of time to start work on the work plan. Again, they don't meet in July. You don't wanna go in June when they're gonna be, neck deep in budget, but also. In August, that will have put 2 important milestones behind us, and that's gonna be the flood park and the San Bruno Mountain. And I think anytime you have an opportunity to go to the board and talk about accomplishments, not what will be accomplished, but what has been accomplished, I think that's a great foot to get, to kind of start on. So I would, I believe it's August 12th and August 26th are the 2 dates. For that month, and I would encourage one of those dates.
comments from commissioners, ideas? I have basically talking about who we are, what we're working on, and then what accomplishments of the department for the year to date.
Anything else to add to that? I mean, seems like it covers it very well. Feels like
I'm thinking also that we didn't present last year, so was there anything like reflecting back in last year that we wanted to also? And maybe that's just, will take us a while to think about that, but.
You could also make it fiscal year based.
Right.
And then that's
even
kind of,
better.
yeah, if you're going in August.
when was the last presentation to the board? Been a while.
Commissioner Monet. I think you and Heather Green gave it.
I think 2019.
It was 20,
It must have been, it was during COVID.
I think it was like
I think when
21,
Chair
maybe.
Laguna, the brief time that Chair Green was there, we had a presentation.
It's been at least 3 years, probably.
3 to 5.
Yeah. Ballpark.
Oh, then, yeah, there'll be no expectations.
We were not meeting in person, let's just say that.
Oh, I see, it was a remote thing. Just kind of curious, are there any slides, archives from such presentations? I'd be interested to see what.
I can
Well,
check
it's
and
used.
see, nothing on I can recall off the top of my head, but we could, yeah, we could check and see whether there's anything. So it would have been on the board agenda.
I mean, from the board's perspective, what would be helpful for them to hear from us? I mean, I think it's important they get to know us and see us as people, who are working for this and to hear our, voices of support, But is there anything else in particular that would benefit from?
I think talking about the work plan would be a good idea. Ultimately, what you want out of the work plan is not just what these meetings are, but then what are the recommendations that are moving forward to the board? So giving them some insight into what they can expect to get from you over the next year, I think would be good. But I also believe the ordinance actually says that you're supposed to provide updates on what you have done, right? So splitting that presentation, you know, the first half is, this is what we've been doing, this is what we're gonna do. And then, you know, next year when you come back, you follow up on, we said this is what we're gonna do, this is what we did, and this is what we're gonna be doing next year.
That makes sense. Well, again, we have a couple of meetings where we can still work this, and we can, if we feel like, and we need to form an ad hoc subcommittee to put the presentation together, and polish it up and just kind of bookmark those dates. Let me know if you're anticipating going out of town, like taking children to college in August. Affects the dates if we all want to be there.
Appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll send out some dates, yeah.
Great. Further comments from the commission? Okay, any public comments?
We're now calling for public comment on item 8.1, discussion topics and potential dates for commission presentation to the board of supervisors. I'm seeing no hands raised in Zoom for public comment for this item.
Okay. We'll move ahead to 8.2, which is an action to amend the Parks Commission meeting calendar to hold the June 2025 meeting at Glen Park. The calendar is attached to the agenda packet. So this would be changing the location of the next month's meetings. It would be an in-person only meeting and would have would follow a typical on-site agenda, which is discussion only and no actions. Usually,
I think we can manage if there was something like you wanting to form an ad hoc subcommittee, or if there was a letter of recommendation on the budget, we could still handle those items in the meeting, but we would just have to acknowledge that it would be a unrecorded and on video recorded in-person meeting.
all right.
But I think one of the things we were talking about earlier, one of the things I'm very excited about is, you know, the commission got to see Flood Park when it was, you remember there were trenches everywhere and
Hard access.
yeah.
Yep.
I don't think you're gonna need hard hats this time, so you all will be out there quite literally the week we're opening, so everything, you know, should be in really good condition, and so yeah. But very excited.
That's the plan.
All right, so we just need, would like a motion to approve the resolution to amend the meeting calendar to hold the June 2025 meeting at Glen Park.
I excitedly make a motion that we will be meeting in person at Glen Park for June 2025. I'd like to make that motion.
Have a second?
Yeah,
Any discussion?
yeah.
Any discussion needed? No?
Public comment.
Public comment?
Now calling for public comment on item 8.2, amending the Parks Commission meeting calendar to hold the June meeting at Flood County Park. And seeing no hands raised.
Please call roll.
Commissioner Block,
Yes.
Commissioner Monet,
Yes.
Commissioner Esser,
Yes.
and Chair Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And item 8.3 is simply a reminder that of all our future meeting dates and locations, and that is to call out there is no meeting in July. That will be our summer recess, and we'll be back in regular meetings for the remainder of the year except for in September, when we again will choose a park location. Yeah.
If it's ADA accessible,
It is, well, it will be at that point, right? I mean, it's.
it's my concern.
It will be. Yeah. Just don't go near the landslide. Okay.
Great. Any discussions or questions on future meetings?
You'll just need to make sure to have an item on your August agenda.
Right.
To-
To set that.
For September.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any public comments on this? Requests? Offers to
Now,
meet at your house?
opening for public comment on a
Pick somewhere exotic.
just the reminder on future meeting dates and locations. Seeing no hands raised.
Do we have a presentation?
We do.
Excellent, perfect. We'll move back to our regular agenda, item 7.3, the presentation from Santa Cruz Mountain Stewardship Network.
And I'd like to introduce everyone to Dylan. Dylan Skybrook is the network manager for the Santa Cruz Mountain Stewardship Network. And Dylan runs a phenomenal organization that we are a member of. And I think for me, when I stepped into this role, I didn't actually understand how close all of the agencies and the entities within the Santa Cruz Mountain were coordinating on matters related to recreation and conservation, fuel reduction, and even, you know, their efforts to figure out at a regional level how to deal with PG&E. I mean, it's remarkable. But I think something that I didn't have insight into, and I certainly know the public doesn't have insight into, is how well everyone coordinates and partners and communicates. But that doesn't get done just on its own. I mean, we really rely on very intelligent and capable individuals. And in the case of the Santa Cruz Mountain Stewardship Network, that's Dylan. Dylan is the trusty leader. And so I'm very excited to have him here today.
Thank you for joining us, we appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, and I appreciate your patience while I was trying to get a vehicle for one of the network's tours. So glad to be here now. Yeah, so I'm Dylan Skybrook. I manage the Santa Cruz Mountain Stewardship Network. That's what I'm gonna talk about today. Do I have a clicker or should I just?
Just let me know.
All right, great. So the network is made up of 25 organizations that all own or manage or in some way steward land in the Santa Cruz Mountains. The purpose of the network is to be a vehicle for collaboration, as Nicholas was just saying, and to help everybody think at a landscape scale, at a regional scale. But people aren't just thinking about stewarding only their property, but also thinking about whatever property that is in the context of the health of the entire region. Next slide, please. Go back one. These are the logos of the members of the network. As I said, there are 25 members. There are land trusts and public agencies like your own. There's the Amamutsun tribe. There are a couple of timber companies. There are universities like Stanford and UC Santa Cruz, water utilities, and so on. So there's a huge diversity of organizations that make up the network. And what they all share is a significant responsibility for the land in some way. Next slide. This image up here is an image of the area that the network covers. You can see the yellow outline there. It's essentially all of San Mateo County, Santa Cruz County, and the western forested part of Santa Clara County. However, those boundaries are loose. The bioregion of the Santa Cruz Mountains is really the organizing principle, but we do what needs to be done in whatever project we're doing. So some of our projects go beyond those boundaries, and some of our members have properties or jurisdictions that go beyond those boundaries as well. Next slide. Here we are meeting at Pescadero Creek County Park. The network has an emergent strategy, meaning that with all the diversity of organizations that I just listed off, it does not make sense for us to create one management plan for the whole region that all those organizations would agree to. Instead, we meet regularly. We talk about issues that are important to the members. And then through that interaction, we discover what is of collective interest. So as those issues emerge, it may be that 5 or 6 organizations want to work on this thing, 8 or 9 want to work on another 7 want to work on another. It's rarely that everyone works on the same thing. That's great though, because that means we can get a lot done without everybody having to agree, or everyone having to agree that they would participate or give staff time to any particular issue. Let's go to the next slide. This is, in this room, this is a little bit small. These are all the activities that the network is up to right now. And I don't have enough time to go through them all, but I'll go through a few. The orange rectangles on the side there are the categories of activities that we're up to. So that first one is events. We have 3 convenings per year in which we bring all 25 members together and discuss what's happening, what's important, the process I just described. We also have salons. We do several of those per year where we pick a topic to really focus in on for an evening. These are really peer learning opportunities, and they're nice, ways for people to get to know each other. I cater snacks and drinks and that kind of thing. We've done salons on prescribed fire and predator conflicts and restoration forestry, on mountain biking. Actually, dozens of them over the years where people can really come together and focus. And we have various field trips and field days and that kind of thing too. The next line down there is teams. One of the primary ways that people work together as we discover issues that are important to the members, we often form teams there. So we have a fire and forest health team, maybe unsurprisingly. We have a woody biomass management team trying to figure out how to deal with all the dead and down trees. We've got 2 trails teams. As Nicholas mentioned, we have a team trying to deal with PG&E. We have a wildlife team, et cetera, et cetera. Some of those teams are really peer learning spaces. The biomass management team started off that way, just people sharing, how are you doing it? How are you paying for it? That kind of stuff. Sometimes the teams produce projects. So that's the next layer down. So for instance, at some point, that team decided we needed to hire consultants to help us figure out what are the best biomass management pathways in the region. What's feasible? What could we afford? What's going to work? Could we do an energy plant? All that kind of stuff. So we hired them to help us figure that out. We also have a state of the trail study, in which we looked at all the trails of the entire region as a single network and asked, how are we doing meeting user needs? How are we doing around equitable access? And how are we doing balancing recreation and biodiversity? And that study's been going on for a while, and I really hope it's about to be released sometime this summer in June or July. The next layer down are collective resources. Those are mostly data resources. Those are the fruits of past projects. The most important one is the veg map. We did a 3-county veg map. We got planes in the air to collect high-quality LiDAR and high-resolution imagery. We had botanists on the ground collecting data also. And we made really what is a Cadillac of vegetation maps that most of our members are using to do their stewardship work, and lots of other folks in the region too, because it's publicly available. This veg map also builds off of other veg map projects in the Bay Area, in Sonoma and Napa and Marin. And then after we did it, other people have done it too in the East Bay. Just generally, because of this shared veg map project, the Bay Area has one of the best veg maps in the country. It's super amazing high quality. And it's a good way to understand the role of the network, because there's not really another entity who could have taken that on for the whole 3 counties. And because we're this vehicle for collaboration, we collectively funded it. Many of the network members kicked in to make it happen. And just the power of that meant we also were able to attract state funding too, to make that happen. So it's this incredible resource. It makes stewardship happen better only because we have this collective, collaborative vehicle. The next layer down there is program. We have one, which is Spotlight Stewardship. This is a course where we get community leaders out onto the land to see stewardship projects. We try to get aides to elected officials. We try to get staff from regulatory agencies or from environmental advocacy organizations. We want people to come out, actually see what's happening, hear the people present about it, to understand like what goes into it, like how science-based it is, how much people are grappling to figure out how to do the right thing to bring back ecosystem function. Because the closer that people get to the details, the more they want to support it, or at the very least not fight it, because sometimes that's happening, right? So that's been a really successful program. We've been doing it since 2017. Our first tour of this year is tomorrow. This year, among the cohort, we have Kim DeSerpa, one of the supervisors from Santa Cruz County, amongst others. So that's nice. At the bottom, it's associations, which basically like we try to also stay in relationship with other networks and collaborative organizations and that kind of thing. There's one thing that's not on this slide, and it's actually the most important thing, which is that one of the primary purposes of the network is to build relationship between people and between organizations. At every convening, not only are people getting to know each other and that kind of thing, but they're also sharing information about what their organizations are doing, their programs and projects. And that has led to hundreds, literally, of self-organized collaborative projects over the time that the network has been around. Things I don't touch, they just go off and they're like, oh, hey, you're doing this? Okay, we want to do it too. You're doing a shaded fuel break, you're doing an invasive something or other, you know, we want to do that too, and we have a property right next to yours. It's incredibly powerful to have that happen, to have people know each other, have relationships over time where they know each other and like each other too. That's actually helpful. So it's very powerful. Also, they know who to call. That's one of the biggest things when we started the network is people were like, I know who to call. If there's a log jam in a creek or something after one of the atmospheric river storms, people are like, I know who to call, you know, whoever's property that is. So it's very powerful in that way, the network. So let's go to the next slide. This is one of our convenings up at Jurassic. And then the next one. Sorry, next slide there. This is same convening at Jurassic, and then one more forward. This is a fire and forest health forum we did with all the staff who are working on fire resilience and forest health projects in the region. We got all 85 of them in a room together so they could share information and map all the projects and so on. One more slide. This is a salon we did recently. This one was a nice touchy-feely salon. Usually we're more like, you tried fire or whatever. This was not my suggestion, someone else suggested this. This was on finding joy in the work, when the work is difficult. And we had a giant group of people show up for that. And then one more forward. So that's it. I mean, I could talk for a lot longer, but that's a snapshot of the network. Again, my name is Dylan Skybrook. I manage the network. I'm happy to answer any questions. And that's my email up there, dylan@scmsn.net. You can always contact me if you have any questions or concerns about the network.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Commissioners, we'll open it up for questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump into. Dylan, nice to meet you in person. We chatted by phone. And appreciate everything that you're doing. And thank you for coming here in person to present to us. Always great to connection. It's just such a wonderful collaboration that you've created there. You know, and this is part of our one of the things that we're going to do kind of moving forward is kind of having more connection with our partners, you know, at the county level. So you're our first up to bat. So I think we started with a great one. It's great to hear from you in that regard. From your standpoint, question for you: is there any anything that we can do from our commissioner roles or from the county that could support you in ways that we can support it?
Well, San Mateo County Parks is a fantastic partner. You know, they've been around since the beginning, and Nicholas or Hannah or some other San Mateo County Park staff are often participating in the various aspects on the various teams. So in terms of like what we would, what is good for members to do in the network, it's definitely happening already. And the one thing I'll mention, and this is not that San Mateo County Parks is falling behind on this, but more just that it's a challenge all the way around, is that there's not a lot of funding for networks because it's a weird thing, right? It's like trying to tell people like, well, we're gonna have a meeting and then we don't know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be good. We know it's gonna be good because we've been doing this for 10 years and lots of good stuff has come out of it, but we actually can't predict the future. So I can't say I'm gonna treat X number of acres in the forest or whatever. So there's a lot of funding that's available for land stewardship that doesn't really go to us. So to whatever degree you can help San Mateo County Parks in that way, that's like one of the bigger things that we need.
And if I could piggyback on that,
Yeah.
I would actually say there's a second thing, and I've dropped the ball on this, so I apologize. It'd be next year when you send out your email saying, we're looking for people to sign up for the Spotlight Stewardship.
Yes, that's a great one, yeah.
I need to send it to the commissioners.
Yeah.
And I think there are we have a really good commission, and I think they would add a lot to that. So I will make sure, and I don't know why this never crossed my mind, but next year when you send that email out, I will immediately forward that to the commissioners.
Fantastic, yeah.
They'd have to look.
It's a very fun thing to take part in because you get to go to all these places in the region that you would never get to go to. Lots of stuff that's not open to the public, and you get, I think, a wider view of what stewardship is happening in the region. And I think even for people who are like in the world, it's a little bit surprising when you get to hear from all the different organizations what's going on.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
Really
it's
cool
nice.
program.
Cause you, I think you did it before you were.
I did.
Director,
I
right?
kind of sort of did it before I joined the Parks Board. I was when I was transitioning, but I was doing both roles, so I spent half the time participating, half the time on meetings.
Yeah.
So, but from what I was able to actually experience, it's going back to what Dylan said. You meet people, and to this day, there are people who I've met through that I still pick up the phone when I need.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
And so again, I think Dylan runs a phenomenal organization that we all benefit from, and so many people have benefited from the work he does, and they'll never know it. But we're lucky.
The other thing I would say, which is, I don't know what this means for you all, but it's something you can just think about. So when we first started the network, one of the things that happened is that it felt like it was a hobby for people. Like it felt like it was on the side. And we've worked really hard to figure out ways to make sure that the work of the network is the people's work, that like the network is doing things that actually serves the work that people want to do, and that it's not extra. But one of the things that we did, in some cases, it really meant some organizations had to make sure they were working with the network in their work plan, that they were telling their boards about it, that like it didn't feel like they had to sneak it in. And so there's a way in which like, is your organization like in the disposition of being collaborative? Like, is there capacity for that? Because if there's not, sometimes like the network can just be a burden on organizations where they're like, we have another meeting we have to go to. And it's like, if you go to the meeting, you get your work done, but you still have to have like a staff capacity to do that. So I think just being aware of the network and being aware that that is like, it takes something to participate. Like you get something out, but you actually also have to participate too. So I think just having that sensibility, that sensitivity to it is useful.
How long did it take for you to build this network of 25 agencies?
Well, there was, the original idea for the network happened before I was hired. So they already, like 26 or so organizations had some meetings. They were like, oh yeah, we should probably do this. They hired some consultants that helped them kind of shape it. And about 19 were original, like, signed on back in 2015. So then I was hired in 2016, about 9 years ago. And it was just very nascent. So it was already happening though, I would say. Like, it's not like I had to like build it from scratch. It was already happening, but but it definitely took a while to develop. When I first got the job and I went around and I interviewed everybody and I was like, why are you doing this? Half the people answered some version of, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. You know, like it was really, I was like, oh, dang, you know? But I think as time went on, people started to see what the benefit was and that they didn't have to necessarily be suspicious. People started to get a lot out of it in various ways. I think the network has really proved itself. And so now I don't think anyone has that attitude anymore, but I think it took a couple of years. Yeah.
And are there other organizations or groups that you're still looking to add in, or do you feel like you already have a pretty full?
You know, yeah, it's pretty good. I would say the way it is. We turned down some folks who would like to be members. The thing that we're thinking about is it's like the relationship part is super important. So can we maintain the intimacy of the group? We don't want 50 organizations necessarily. On the other hand, who in the area is doing stewardship work? And if the other members were to collaborate with them, would stewardship get better? You know, are there organizations for populations also that like haven't been represented? So for instance, right now, the Amamutsun have a land trust. They're actively doing land stewardship work, and they've been in the network from the beginning. If any of the other tribes started to very specifically do land stewardship work, we would really want them to be in the network. But otherwise, we're not we're not trying to add, you know, we're not trying to advertise. It's not that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
absolutely.
Are there other questions?
I know time is of the essence, but this sounds kind of like the first thing that struck like a light bulb is this is totally like cosmic vibes. Like this would be like something totally like we as commissioners need to get to one of your offsites and be part of this whole saloon stuff. That sounds like real neat. And we'll know things in the know that your general public community doesn't know unless they're involved in this, little, umbrella project that you spearhead. So I think to get the leapfrog to where we want to see, wow, this is what, really happens. These community people get together and share stories and share and actually connect and do stuff, not just sit around and just have a marshmallow and a Rice Krispie, you know what I mean? It's just you're doing stuff.
Absolutely. So let me tell you some specifics. Each network member organization gets 2 representatives. So that's Nicholas and Hannah. They're the ones who get to come to the convenings, and we keep that small so we can have an intimate group. But the salons, what you were just talking about, that's open to anyone who works with the organization. So any staff member or anything like that. So I can put you all.
You show some love to your commissioners there, come on.
I can put you all on that list. So when salons come up, I can invite you to that. The other thing is that when we form these teams, it's not just the representatives, it's whatever staff member is appropriate. Because maybe the representatives aren't the people who work on trails. So if we have a trails team, we want the trails staff. So for instance, Sam Hertzberg from San Mateo County Parks is on the trails team. So we both are trying to create this kind of intimate space for some of the things like the convenings. And then we want to find whoever's like the right person for the teams. And then we cast a wider net for the salons.
Really appreciate you breaking this down and giving us a better idea of do we want to be a part of this and when you have a next function coming up sometime this calendar year, we want to at least go up there and see like.
The other thing we're going to do, because as I just said, this started 10 years ago, we're going to have a 10th anniversary celebration.
Solid.
Sign us up. We're
Solid.
Yeah, so that's I'm still working on it. Still fundraising for it, trying to get the date, but I'm thinking it's going to be in late September. So it'd be awesome.
Early fall would be nice.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, kind of continuing on what you talked about in terms of where does this work? I'm curious as to, are you funded by each member organization?
Great question.
And or privately? And then again, is it professional development? Does it go under that hat? Because to me, this is like, this is a mandatory way of development of the organization. I'm trying to figure out what creative ways can we help help ensure that you have that funding stream that you need within the organization budget.
So what we decided from the beginning, it's not an organization, right? The network, it's a collective tool of its members. So, and I say that because it's important, because we're funded by contributions from the members. But it's not like it's a fee, right, to join the organization, because it's theirs, it's their tool. And I'm the only staff member. There's no offices, right? There's no building, there's nothing else. Like, it's just this way to bring everyone together. So from the beginning, we didn't want to have a fee that was set. And so we asked every member to contribute what they could, because some members have a lot of money and some have none. So people contribute wildly different amounts. That doesn't actually cover our expenses. And so in the last couple of years, I've really been pushing for everyone to actually increase their expenses, or increase their contributions to get closer to having the network members actually funding the network. But we tend to make that up with including some of my salary and project grants. It's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because at a certain point, I just can't handle it if we do too many projects. But we need A, to do them, and then B, we actually need the funding. So it's always that kind of a balance. One of the other strategies we've been using lately is because people know the network helps them get their work done, that some people can actually include the network as a line item in a project budget, and they can say, we know that we're gonna be collaborating with folks to get this work done, so the network is the way we do that. So let's just include $10,000 or $15,000. I'm saying this off the top of my head right now, rather than being exact, but the budget for the network is not that much. It's like $275,000 a year. Right now, the network members are contributing about $220,000, so it's not even that big of a shortfall to make that up. If I had my druthers, we would hire someone else and get more GIS help, and so I'd love to bump the budget up to like 400,000. But I mean, as it is, it's like, it's not that much for how much action we leverage from that 275,000. So just to say, it's like not a giant or a problem to solve. Yeah. And I mean, I should also say, it's like, that's the core operations of the network, including spotlight stewardship and so on. But as we're doing multiple projects and so on, people are kicking in all the time to make stuff happen, to make this project happen or that project happen. So that's not the only amount of money that network members are given, because again, the network is this vehicle that helps them get their work done. So it makes sense for them to do that.
Is there any way to even ballpark the value of what you I know that's a really hard question to ask, but I'm always, as someone who volunteers a lot of hours, I'm always wanting to say, you really have to count the value of this, in-kind service or the knowledge. Like, how many hours do you save by consulting with the PG&E team versus whether, you're leveraging resources? So how do we just frame that as we are getting so much more than we're putting in? So that it's never a question.
Super tricky to do to get the real value. I mean, I think there's certain things that you could maybe, like for instance, the veg map. Like, how much are you saving from having to, get other things mapped for each project because you already have this really good resource, right? There's other things like, I'll give you an example. I don't know if Parks is doing this kind of thing, but many of the organizations right now are really like, oh, we're doing all these forest health projects. These are actually, that includes thinning trees. Some of those trees are merchantable. It's very difficult for environmentally oriented organizations to sell trees. It just looks bad. But it's also dumb to not do it because the trees are there and it's a source of money. So we had a conversation where we were just like, who is doing this? Like, how are you doing it? How are you approaching it? How are you communicating it to people? Because everyone wants actually the environment to do well. That's the point of the network. And so there's this like incredible kind of sharing that happens that actually, it's like this, it's systemic dialogue where the system gets to know itself and everyone is going to operate a little bit differently after we have this conversation and share information. How do you value that? I have no idea, but it's incredibly valuable. And that's the kind of thing that happens in the network all the time. So I really don't know how to put like a dollar amount on that kind of information sharing, you know.
Yeah, but I like the point about what would it take us if it's a tangible tool like the veg map.
Yeah, I think there's some things.
Yeah, you can write that into it.
Yeah.
We know it would cost that, we already have it.
Yeah.
Are there other organizations outside of the members that could use, using this veg map again, which keeps coming up because it's very nice to think of. I'd imagine if the county uses.
We use the veg map all the time. And I think we put 50. Something like that.
I can't remember how much you put in, but you did definitely contribute a sizable amount. I mean, I know that like one reason we got some funding from Santa Clara County is because their tax assessor's office wanted it. Because they could see who was building illegal ADUs, and you know what I mean? Like, one of the funding we got, especially from CAL FIRE, required. I mean, this was always our intent, but it's available to anybody, publicly available, so everybody gets to use it.
Commissioner Esser, I didn't want to ignore you, but I can't see the screen without my glasses, so I don't know if you have your hand up.
Oh, no questions for me at this time. Thank you for the presentation, though.
Further questions?
Thank you so much. You broadened our horizons here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Are there any questions from general public?
Now opening for public comment on, this would be item 7.3.
Yes.
For the presentation on the Santa Cruz Mountain Stewardship Map. Seeing no hands raised in Zoom for the public.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Jill. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, Dylan.
Absolutely.
Good seeing you.
Yeah, you too.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
Where you at tomorrow?
Carolsty Valley, and then State Park.
Beautiful.
Street. Great, so moving on to item 9.1, Commissioner report out on information items or projects or general reports. Commissioner Esser, this is just a placeholder where we can report about anything we've done out in the parks network over the past month or work we've completed, just kind of general, anything that we want to report. It's for information only.
I could, I didn't really take the opportunity to introduce myself, give you all a little bit of an idea of my background. I actually grew up in Millbrae, and I've accessed San Mateo County parks all my life, everything from camping at Huddard Park to running along Sawyer Camp Trail, things like that. Professionally, I worked at HP for 31 years. I managed teams in both finance and marketing. And since retiring, I've invested a lot of my time in public service. I'm a member of the North Fair Oaks Community Council. I've served 3 terms as chair there. I'm also involved with park and open space issues. I'm the treasurer of the Holbrook Palmer Park Foundation in Atherton, and I'm also a member of the Mid-Penn Open Space District Measure AA Oversight Committee. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm a public member of the Samtrans Board of Directors. So it's a busy retirement, but I'm working on things that I'm really, really passionate about, and I'm very much looking forward to my work on the commission.
Thank you so much, and we are very, very glad to have you and have your breadth of knowledge. And it sounds like, yeah, there will be a lot of overlapping items of discussion, which will be your expertise and insight will be very, very much appreciated for the commission.
Thank you.
Supervisor Gauthier made a very wise choice in bringing you on board as the senior commissioner on this board, on this commission. Next year will be 10 years. God willing.
Oh, wow.
I really appreciate your yearning of knowledge and a plethora of things that we look forward to working with, especially with a lot of exciting things coming up in this calendar year.
Thank you.
I'll just say, welcome aboard, Brooks. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Any other updates from commissioners?
Check out Coyote Point is getting there. They're getting better. They're doing a lot of bit of interior designing on that park, so they're doing a lot of work and to help improving that to get more visitors and a lot of exciting things in the summer for Coyote Point as Michelle spoke during the Parks Foundation. So that's what I have to share as far as Coyote Point in my report.
Well, I did attend the first Take a Hike event, beginning of April, which was in Quarry Park. So I got to bring my dog Oso, and we had a great time. There's quite a crowd. It was a cold day, but everybody had a great time doing that and quick hike with our amazing interpretive staff. And we are in the midst of the Pescadero Community Space Design Concept Space. That's been really great it's a very small park, but the community is very, very excited about it. And we've seen some great designs from the architects, and Director Calderon was out in the community all week or last night and will be this weekend, getting more community feedback on that project. So that will be another small little postage gem of the county park system pretty soon. So we're excited about that. Okay, no further updates from staff. Then I think we can move to adjourn.
Public comment.
Oh, sorry, public comment on 9.1.
No calling for public comment on 9.1, commission updates. And seeing no hand raised in Zoom for public comment. And I believe through the chair will also just need to have an opportunity for public comment on items for future agenda.
Before we adjourn, again, items for future agenda is a running list of topics. We maintain it and we'll add things to the regular agenda based on our work plan and capacity. Happy to always hear public comment about items that they'd like the commission to address. So we can open this up for public comment. Item 10.
No, calling for public comment for item 10, items for future agenda. Seeing no hands raised in Zoom for public comment.
Commissioners? No. All right. Item 11, you can move to adjourn. Great. All right, so adjourned. 5:55. Thank you.